A while back, a business partner of mine in our Louisville, Kentucky office suggested I do a video on a capsule wardrobe. And I figured since I don't know much about capsule wardrobes and Jordan does, he should do the video on the capsule wardrobe. So I set up this call and I have a couple questions for Jordan with capsule wardrobes. But to build him up a little bit, he might be one of the best there is at helping guys develop a closet that's very useful. So Jordan, thanks so much for taking the time here. My first question is, so we're all on the same page, what is a definition of a capsule wardrobe?
So a capsule wardrobe, it's also called a sample wardrobe, is where you have staple pieces that can work together and they could work separate apart too. So essentially it's where you can have a handful of pieces that can be worn 25 to 30 different ways. So it's money well spent in regards to the price per item or garment.
Okay, and is this something that guys, is it kind of a goal where guys build this over time, or is this more something that guys want to build, like buy as a package?
You know, in my tenure, I've had some people do it over time, but what ends up happening is when you get, if you try to do it over time, when you get something brand new, what every man does is they wear their newest thing the most. So they end up wearing whatever's brand new and fits the best twice as much as anything else. So as they're building it out, by the time they've actually built it out, some of the first pieces they bought need to be replaced.
Okay, so you also called a sample wardrobe. What would be an example of a guy's like, all right, I want a capsule wardrobe. What's an example of the pieces that he would want to buy?
So the easiest capsule wardrobe is, I immediately make assumptions. I assume that most guys right now don't wear suits. And I assume that most guys don't wear sport coats for day-to-day use. So that's an assumption I make with any new person that I work with or any client too. And the reason why I do that is because if you assume they don't have it, then that means that they have a bunch of old stuff in their closet. Maybe I should say, if you assume they're not wearing it now, that means they have some in their closet and they feel like they have some and they're good. And the reality is what happens is, they've got stuff they haven't worn in a while, and then they go to put it on and find out that it doesn't fit, or it's too tight, or it's too loose, or it doesn't look like what's on TV. So an ideal capsule wardrobe, a simple one, would be 2 jackets, 2 sport coats, and 3 pairs of pants that match each coat, and then a pair of jeans, and then 3 to 4 shirts. So what happens is if you got 4 shirts that matched each pant and the jean, that created 16 outfits. And then now, if you have those pants, each pant matches each jacket, you just created 32 outfits from that small investment.
So another question for you. What is the mistake you see guys making the most as they go out shopping? What mistake do you guys see guys making?
The mistake I see most guys doing is they buy emotionally when they see something cool. And anybody that we work with in the beginning that sees something cool, that loud, flashy, fun thing, like that's awesome right now, but you can't wear it. And that's the common mistake I see is when people that's the first common mistake, is when I get in people's closets, when I'm helping them build it, is the first thing is they've had a bunch of cool stuff they've bought, but it doesn't work with anything else. So thus it's one cool item they wore to a cool event and they don't know how to wear it anymore. Mistake number 2 is I see that people buy one item at a time as opposed to just buying outfits at a time. Because it's like when you're walking down the aisle at a store and you see a really cool tie you like, if you don't know specifically what shirt you're gonna wear that with or what jacket as well, you'll go home and hang it up and you'll contemplate in the morning, what should I match this up with? And then the thing is when you're contemplating that, it kills your confidence. Because if you're not confident what you're wearing and you're self-conscious, then that defeats the whole purpose of getting clothing that fits. So those are the 2 common mistakes. The first thing is people just get cool stuff. And the second thing is people don't buy it as an outfit.
And then my last question is in regards to clothing is the world has changed a little bit. A lot of guys are working from home right now. What piece of advice do you have for guys in regards to their clothing as they start to work from home more often?
My piece of advice I would have for any guy that's working from home, doing more video calls, or even if it's just phone calls, is get dressed up. Is there something to be said for being dressed for work regardless if you're going into the office or not? It's like, I have tried to work from home without being dressed up. I can't do it mentally. I'm not in the zone. I catch myself going and doing other things around the house. Whereas, like, if I am dressed up in my suit, it's like, I'm working. I'm here. I'm ready. I have my jacket, my tie, my shirt on. And it still speaks to the person you're across from that you're taking it seriously enough to be dressed up for them, too.
Anybody who knows you have a pretty legit bourbon collection. If somebody was to start a Capsule bourbon collection, what top bourbons would they have to purchase to get it started?
Top bourbons. So I'm going to make it budget conscious bourbons. Okay. So I think when you talk about bourbon, the number one flaw people do is they just look for cool bottles. They go to a store and they see a really cool bottle and somebody may have placed it on the top shelf and they don't know any better. And they're like, look at what I got. This is cool. That does not mean it's good. It's like, I made that mistake when I got into it. First thing you do is Google whatever you're about to buy. So this is before I even talk about a capsule. If you see something cool, Google it and see what it is and see if it's relevant or hard to find. So now let's just say things that I would say if you're going to start off and have somewhat of a bourbon collection, you should have a few Wellers. First thing is have Weller. If possible, get a Weller Antique, get a Weller 12-year. It's just good to have. It's a good drinking bourbon. It's very smooth. Next will be Blanton's. Blanton's is a great other bourbon that's smooth. It's a wheated bourbon. I think it's relevant if you can get your hands on it. It's Kentucky Owl. I think Kentucky Owl is an amazing bourbon to have, especially there. It's very hard to find because it only is released in Kentucky right now. That's going to change, but right now. Now, if you can get your hands on a Pappy, that's cool, but sometimes Pappy's overhyped or overpriced. But if you can get a good, like a raffle on that, that would be great to have too. So let's say if you have a Pappy and you have a Weller and you got a Blanton's, I think another great one to just have would be Eagle Rare. And then if you can get your hands on a Willet, any Willet, that's just a good starter kit. And with those, they all have different tastes, so you can really taste the difference between them.
And then what's your favorite bourbon in your collection? What's that one?
Let me put it this way. My favorite bourbon to drink. How about I say that? Can I say that?
Okay.
Because there's everyday drinkers and there's specials. Because there's certain, like, you don't drink a $500 bottle of bourbon as an everyday thing. It's like we don't wear a blue sapphire suit every day. So, like, my everyday drinkers is I really like Weller Antique. Like, that is just a great bourbon to drink on ice. Like, it's clean, it's smooth. Love that. And another, like, if you can't afford it, if you can just get your hands on Old Forester 100 proof, it's not $1 million and it's pretty good. Or Old Forester Rye 100 proof. I mean, those are just good everyday economic drinkers.
Now, of course, everyone's concerned about COVID right now. Is it true that bourbon is hand sanitizer for your insides?
I've heard that. I do know that some bourbon distilleries are making hand sanitizer right now. I've seen videos of that. But definitely, if you have your first drink of bourbon, it feels like it's sanitizing your insides. I promise you that.
Hey, well, thanks so much for taking the time, and we'll see you on the other side.
Thanks.